my name is Kristen. I'm 44 years old. I have 3 kids. I am a full-time graduate student working on my master's degree in special education, and I'm a special needs mom. There have been some questions about his non-epileptic seizures that he had a few years back, and I gave an update on my daughters, so I figured maybe this could be helpful for some other parents who might be going through the same thing. Sam is on the autism spectrum. He is what would be considered very high functioning. He has an auditory processing problem, but he is in regular education classes with regular support, and he's doing really well right now. But what I want to talk about is what went on during those non-epileptic seizures and how we figured out what was going on. Sam was obviously diagnosed with autism when he was younger. He got early intervention services through the state, and he did really well. He ended up going into kindergarten without any interventions, no special education, and he did fine. He was on the RTI system for a while, and he got extra help with reading recovery or Title I for a couple of years, but he was doing okay. And teachers knew that he was on the spectrum, and they worked with him, so he was doing okay. But then in second grade, the expectations got harder, and his teacher wanted more work out of him. And I tried to explain to her that he had an auditory processing issue, but she didn't want to listen. She thought he was being lazy, so she kept pushing. She kept keeping him in for recess, and his behavior escalated. He got actually really aggressive at home, and it was just really, he just became really unhappy, and he started having anxiety about going to school. So this went on for quite a while, and we couldn't get him to school. So his doctor suggested that he start Zoloft for his anxiety. So I said, okay, let's try it. I had taken it before and it was fine, but then we increased his dose, and this was in third grade because the anxiety wasn't going away. So we increased his dose, and I was in the car driving home, and he was at school, and I got a call from the nurse, and I will never forget this call. She called and she said, I hate to do this to you, but Sam is having a seizure right now, and you need to come, and first aid is going to be here soon. And luckily I was only like a mile away, so I rushed to the school. I went in. He was still seizing, and the seizures you see in the videos linked below are what he had. I hopped in the ambulance with him. They were doing all the measures, first aid measures, to make sure he was stable, and I don't remember when, but at some point they gave him a shot to stop him from seizing, because it was going to be almost 30 minutes. So they gave him a shot to stop him. So he went to the hospital, and the neurologist didn't really know what to do with him because they didn't see the seizure. Luckily, the school nurse and his teacher recorded the entire incident, so we could show it to the neurologist, but the neurologist couldn't figure it out because they never captured seizure activity on the EEG. He had a VEEG at the hospital in Maine, and they couldn't figure it out. So we ended up having a doctor's appointment with his developmental pediatrician the next day, and we were in the office, and he started seizing again there. So immediately they called 911. They came in, they gave him a shot, and he stopped right away. So we went to the neurologist. They never could figure out what was going on, but they put him on Depakote. So he was on Depakote, and they sort of calmed down, but it didn't get better. He was still having seizures. So at one point, he was still having severe anxiety in school. He was having a lot of problems paying attention. So his doctor just said, hey, why don't we try ADHD meds? So we put him on Ritalin. That wasn't a good idea. We gave him Ritalin and he had tics. It was scary to see. So scary. So we immediately stopped that. We never gave it to him again. And all the while, he's still having seizures. So, and anxiety, and won't go to school, screaming, crying, yelling, just would not go to school. So I finally got tired of it. We had brought my daughter, who I'll link below. She had seizures as well, but hers were actual epileptic seizures. We brought her to Boston, and they helped us a lot to help her get better. So we went to Boston. Sam and I spent the night there. And they never saw any seizures. So I'm like, what the heck is going on? Like, I just want to get him better. Like, what is going on? So no one could figure it out. He was on Depakote. He was on Prozac. He took Ritalin. So it just kept escalating. He kept getting worse. It wasn't getting better. He ended up trying to climb out the school window. They had to go get him and bring him home back to the school and bring him in the seclusion room. And it was just not even worth it, because I would get him to school and then he'd lose it. I think it was just like a vicious cycle. He knew that he was having seizures. He'd go into other classrooms, have a seizure, and fall asleep on the floor. I mean, it was the most bizarre thing in the entire world. So I ended up pulling him out of school and homeschooling him. I did not want to. I'm a certified teacher, but I didn't know what else to do. And then I got thinking, I'm like, when did all this escalate? Like, when did he start having these seizures? Like, when did this all escalate? When did he start having all these seizures? So I got thinking, I'm like, when he started taking medication. So light bulb went off. I'm like, I think this is being caused by medication. Like, so because he was going to come off medication, and because I had to homeschool him because he had such like horrible school refusal because of the anxiety, I weaned him off that whole spring that I homeschooled him. And let me tell you, I did not like homeschooling. I love educating and I love teaching people, but being home alone with my child is not what I had envisioned for his future. So yeah, we did that, reduced them, and the seizures went away, like gone. So a medical professional did not figure this out. I did. And I feel really bad that we put him through that, but I just feel like people need to know that kids and adults can have major side effects from these medications, and that you can have one problem and it can escalate quickly into even more problems and cause more issues. So after that, this was from 3rd to 4th grade. So by 4th grade, I pulled him out and I homeschooled him. So then we sent him to a different school because we thought he needed a fresh start. He had all those memories of having seizures and falling asleep in class. So we sent him to a different school, and it was really hard getting him back in, but he wasn't medicated, and we slowly worked with him, and he went to school, and he did pretty good that year. And then the next year we moved, and it got better, and then now he's a freshman in high school. He's in all regular classes, no medication. I will never put him on medication again, and he's thriving. He's still on the spectrum. He knows it. He didn't want to be in this video, but I asked him if I could talk about his experiences. He loves making videos. He's a great kid. I'm really proud of how well he's doing in school, and he's going to take driver's ed, and he has no other medical issues. He might have a little asthma now, but no seizures, nothing. So I guess my point is parents, you need to go with your gut. You need to fight for your kids. Like, if they're having anxiety, don't I mean, I didn't really want to give him medication, but I really didn't know what else to do. I should have gone with my gut and just fought, but there were a lot of other issues going on in our life at that point. He has a sister that has type 1 diabetes too, and the other sister who actually has epilepsy. And, you know, he may have the same gene deletion as his sister, but we don't know. We haven't had him tested, but yeah. So it's as a parent, there's a lot of trial and error, and you really want to do what's best for your kid. And if I go back, I wouldn't have ever given him that medication. But on the other hand, there were a lot of environmental factors going on. I would have pushed making sure he was still getting services for autism, because I think a lot of teachers think that parents just have the label on their child, and no, Sam was 3 when he was diagnosed, and he wasn't talking. Like, he was working overtime doing what he was doing, and he was doing really well, and then they were just pushing him even further than he could handle. And that's where the anxiety came in. If you're being asked to do more than you can handle, you're going to have anxiety, and that's normal. So if he had gotten behavior modifications instead of being pushed so hard, we might not have gone through all that. But I just want people to know that you need to be really careful with this medication, what you put your child on. My youngest daughter is on Ritalin. She does fabulous with it, but she is not fam, and she is not made up like him. But he doesn't need anything. He does really well. He has friends at school. He is in filmmaking club. He likes playing video games. He's very polite most of the time, Sam. I know he's going to watch this, but yeah. So just, I would recommend, as a parent, go with your gut. If all of a sudden these seizures come on, there's an environmental factor, and there's could be a biological, like medication or something else going on too. Like, just you know, don't, the medication, like, be careful. Like, it's a godsend. Like, trust me, I know it's a godsend for most people, but advocate. And I understand why it was harder for me to advocate for Sam at that point, but if I could go back, I would. I mean, I'm glad we went through it. We know not to give him that stuff, but advocate. So, and also make sure you pay attention to your child, and make sure they're not having a really bad side effect for a medication if they're taking that, because that could be what's messing them up. So anyway, that is what's going on. If you have any questions and something that I didn't talk about today, I'm going to do some more videos about my experiences as a special needs mom. My kids are doing great right now, and my daughter's recent illness reminded me about what it was like when they weren't doing so great. So I wanted to get on here and just go over some of the things that we went through, and some of the explain what some of the videos are all about. If you like what you see, please give me a thumbs up and give me a like and hit subscribe. And I can make more videos explaining what we went through to help other families. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.